I've always been obsessed and enticed by the idea of the classics, or must-see films. They're so highly acclaimed by people that enjoy deep cuts of film, but also hated by the casual watcher. If I sat down and put on one of these films from class with one of my friends, I'm sure they would hate it. But why? Why? I begin to realize there are two sides to these classics. There are films like The Godfather, or Fight Club, and even Pulp Fiction, that are considered classics by many. But then there's a second side to this word classics, where we get films like Stalker, Andrei Rublev, and a film very highly praised by our classmates, Funeral Parade of Roses. Now while these films are very different, they all hold the weight of the word classic. A lot of people seem to love them on both sides of the spectrum. But there is still a major discrepancy here. We have the casual watcher who can't typically get into the second side of these classics, and then the film lover, like some of our classmates we have, where they like both sides. People can get very into the typical classics, like we mentioned before, like The Godfather, Fight Club, or Pulp Fiction, and they often like both sides, the deeper cuts and those films. My issue here, and what I would like to dive into, is why that second set of classics is so unreachable by many. Just by two simple Google searches, I got to see the two sides of the opinions on the art house film scene. My first search was simply, why is art house cinema good? Here I got many answers, but one that kept coming up was ideas of history and experimentalism and innovation within film. Now this is all very impressive, but it seems to be the main reason for the disconnect. A lot of people don't go to films to see something experimental or different, and some people do. My second Google search was simply, why is art house film unreachable by some? And this is where I got a strong attack on the genre. Here it says, it isn't of course only cinema that is best nowadays by well-meaning garbage. It's much the rest of the arts as well. In painting, sculpture, poetry, opera, you name it, idiots have seen to taken over much of the asylum. Now this was quite obviously a very aggressive take on the subject, and they even went as far to say, how could these abominations ever have gotten past their creators' first 2 seconds of deliberation? Those quotes in and of themselves are what really drew me to make this video. I feel like on both sides of it, the people that just like the main classics, the mainstream classics, those people can often not get into the other side, and they give it a lot of crap like we just saw, where people are saying that it's made by idiots. But then on the opposite side of it, there are cinephiles that often discredit films like Godfather, Pulp Fiction, blah blah blah, those classics. And this is where I seem to have a major disconnect. I feel as if in this world of film, you need to respect both sides very well. One tells very specific stories that many people can get into, and one of them does a lot of experimenting. But this is what the medium was made for both sides to come out and show themselves in all their glory. And what better spot to look at some examples of this than every movie watcher's favorite app, Letterboxd. Here I want to go through 3 films that I really liked that we watched in this class, and 3 films that I didn't really like that we watched in this class, and see my rating compared to the average rating on the app. I feel like this was a great place to see a lot of different people's opinions all at once, because it is very highly used by all film watchers, whether casual or cinephile. So let's get started on a positive note and look at some films that I really enjoyed in this class. First up is The 400 Blows. I gave this film 4.5 stars, and it has an average rating of 4.3 on the app. Next up, The Rules of the Game. I gave this 4.5 stars once again, and it has an average rating of 4.1 on the app. And finally, my favorite film we watched in our class, Stalker. I gave this film 5 stars, and it has an average rating of 4.4 on the app. Now, I truly hate to get negative, but let's look at some films I didn't like. First up, as we see, is John Dielman. I gave this film 2.5 stars, and it has an average rating of 4.3 on the app. Next is The Color of Pomegranates. I gave this 2.5 stars once again, and it has an average rating of 4.1 on the app. And lastly, my least favorite film from our class, La Pointe Courte. I gave this film 2 stars, and it has an average rating of 3.7 on the app. Now, what do all these films have in common? They are very highly rated by everybody on the app. But as you can see, they were very varying for me. I feel as if I was against the grain in some of them where I had very low ratings on films that had very high average ratings. But what's the reasoning for this? Personally, I believe it's just because of my personal enjoyment. That's how I rate these movies. I give credit where credit is due, and when I think something looks beautiful, it'll get a star. When I think it's written well, it'll get a star. But the thing is, I only give a lot of stars out when I really, truly, personally enjoy it. And what do I think all my favorite ones I talked about have in common? I found they all have a very strict narrative. Now, that may just be me saying I don't fully dive into the ones without a very strict narrative, or I really lean towards ones with a strict narrative, but I feel as if either way, that's fine. Now, Letterboxd has a very cult following, as I said earlier, and it attracts people from all different sides of film watching. But this is where a lot of negativity comes in, and this is where I truly got the idea to make this video. They have the 4 favorites on the app, and oftentimes Letterboxd will interview people and ask them their 4 favorites, and oftentimes they're directors or actors. A common theme in these videos is older actors saying quote-unquote pretentious films as their 4 favorites, and younger actors/directors saying quote-unquote funny, casual films as their favorites. What I just showed was an ironic video poking fun at this idea of older people saying more pretentious films and younger people saying funnier, more casual films. But if you dig deep, that kind of does happen. Not that I'm saying their picks are pretentious, but a lot of people continue with this theme. Older directors and actors will name deeper cuts of films that many have never heard of, and the comments are flooded with people saying they're just saying this to be pretentious or they just want to be different. And then younger actors and directors come on and say a lot of things that we saw in our childhood and stuff like that. And folks in the comments give those people much more respect. And that raises the question, do we just not get it? And if so, how does one get it? And to give a simple, boring answer, I don't think people don't get it. I think people just don't enjoy it. Being pretentious only comes into point when you start to give hate to the other side of film. You don't need to get it or not get it. You just need to enjoy what you enjoy and not like what you don't like. That's what this medium was made for, and that's why it's so perfect. This is where it goes back to the film lover, sometimes even discrediting the other side of film and the more casual watching, and this is where I just simply don't agree. Good is good. You don't discredit something because it's not niche enough or it's not, a deep cut, and you don't discredit something for being niche or being a deep cut. Simply like it or don't like it. To wrap this up and give just my final statement on my belief of this topic, it might sound boring, but some people appreciate the history, creativity, and uniqueness of art house cinema, and some just like to laugh or cry to a good story. And that's okay. To me, where the issue comes in is when you give hate to the other side of film and say it's bad. You cannot like a film if you want, or you can like a film if you want. But there's no true saying in an entire genre being bad or an entire timeline being bad. Personally, a lot more people just have to realize that it might not be for them. Overall, film is subjective. And it sounds like a boring answer, but it truly is. There's a lot of films I've liked that people haven't liked, and a lot that I haven't liked that people have liked. And that's okay. Go watch the classics. Go enjoy the classics of both sides. I recommend everyone gives everything a chance and goes in with an open mind, but there's no guarantee you walk out with the satisfaction you might have expected or even wanted. Film is perfect because you can like it or you can dislike it. Personally, I disagreed with some people in my class when they liked certain things and really agreed with them when they liked others. And at the end of the day, we got to share joy or debate. Thank you very much for watching, and that's my opinion on the classics in cinema.